Well, hello and welcome to our latest interview for the British Web Awards, and we are joined by the wonderful people at Sloppy Jones, and we have Jamie Hart, Sophie Nation, and Jonathan Neal Alexandra. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
It is absolutely my pleasure. I've been looking forward to this. It's going to be great. I love what we've seen so far of the show. So let's just dive straight in and let's just talk about Sloppy Jones. So you three are all the creators and writers of Sloppy Jones, aren't you? So where did the premise come from? Who wants to dive in first? Jamie, do you want to get
I'll go, sure. So our producer, Susan Nation, actually had a previous show called Cupid's Cafe that was set in a restaurant that I think it's about 10 years old now. And it was like a much more romantic kind of Cinderella story vision of restaurants. And then so like 10 years later, she was like, let's reboot it. Let's do something new. And we ended up coming on because we are all writers and restaurant workers. So we ended up writing a kind of more messy, I will say probably slightly more authentic version.
Yeah, there's a reason it's called Sloppy Jones. Yeah.
Messy.
Messy. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Go on, James.
No, go, Jonathan. It was yeah, we just decided, like, while we were writing, we were like, what if their boss was just dead or like missing? Because there's this kind of like, oh, I wish my manager would just disappear, that like everyone has thought at some point. And you know, there are consequences if that happens.
Yeah, I think we also wanted, in a way, to like write about our own experience and like obviously like having worked in restaurants, but also like about queer narrative and representation. Like being from that community, we were like, oh, okay, like, you know, there's just the amount of content is not sufficient currently. So we wanted to kind of honor like that 90s camp horror thriller situation that is really fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's just exciting to watch because like murder and mystery and chaos and like young hotties doing their thing is like kind of fun.
I think Jordan Peele just put a quote out I saw yesterday where he says, try and write the script that you haven't seen yourself yet. Try and write something you want to see on camera. And what you're saying there is kind of great. There's things there that you think are kind of missing, and you think that's the beauty of the web creation, is that you can produce your own baby there, really. And that seems to be what you've done. Jamie's subtle tones about murdering the manager.
I feel like I should clarify, I've never killed my boss.
Fine.
I've only written in detail about it.
Yeah, just fantasy.
Yeah.
We're all friends here, don't worry. Do you want to add anything to that kind of creation, Sophie, at all there for the actual generation story? Anything?
Yeah, so I think like definitely our own experiences in restaurants and like the queer community we built were influences, but I think also for me, like actual places in Ontario were big influences. Like there is this really kitschy restaurant in Toronto that it has kind of been a staple downtown, and it's called the True Love Cafe. And it has like big wooden hearts everywhere and just really interesting details. Like they serve everything on wooden trays with gold trim, and it has like 90s desktop TVs, and like it has all these really interesting details that I was inspired by, and like random motels in Niagara Falls. I was like, imagine if they lived here. Like, so I think like the escapist element of this series was like finding these kitschy local spaces that we could plant these people in, because I didn't want it to just be like a normal restaurant in downtown Toronto. I wanted it to be this, like, it could be anywhere, you know, it could be in the 80s, it could be in England, it could be, you know, and so yeah, I think like really unique kitschy spaces inspired me as well to make it like this really specific space.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the location, because there is something, like you said, kind of timeless about that particular bar and space, actually. Yeah, now that you've said it, it would be, you could label that in different time zones, I guess, in different areas, and that's a really good choice that you've made. So moving on there, so you've sort of all come up with the idea, and did you all just write the script together, and then just as a team, did you sit down one day and just think, okay, we're gonna put this together? What was the process of writing that then?
Yeah, we kind of we started out kind of as a unit doing workshopping together. We had different mentors kind of work through because we did write the trailer as its kind of own moment. So yeah, the three of us like collaborated. Judy Kroon was a great mentor for us. She was like a cool comedian in town. Yeah, we kind of had, like, as a unit, we were writing that, and then moving beyond that trailer that we wrote, we sectioned off kind of, and we have episodes that we individually wrote, and then we kind of do several passes like as a full unit after we finish them individually. And then we work with Amanda Walsh, our like creative consultant, to like do it again. And then yeah, there's just like a lot of rewriting, but yeah, we do that. And then so there's a kind of our individual eyes, our group eyes with other eyes, and then the final eyes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because as we were chatting briefly, weren't we? So we've seen like this wonderful kind of opening and sizzle and trailer thing for what's coming, and so this is hopefully the plan this year. You're going to finish the rest of this journey off. So episodically, how many episodes are there coming up then? What's going to be the run of this? Anybody want to jump in there?
The first season is going to be 6.
Great.
And then we also have a prologue we can hopefully add on as like an additional episode, but that'll be like one-off style. And then we're hoping that every season has 6 episodes.
Okay, and what's the length of each episode, would you say, and then how many pages have we got there?
Sorry, we're all cutting each other off.
Yeah, like it's up in the air right now, but like we've written them as 6 to 10 minutes, but like they can be adjusted depending on things.
Some of them run like 13 pages, others are like 8. And kind of just like we have a little bit of freedom with that, which is really nice, because we're able to, like, certain episodes require 13 pages, like you can't really, there's no way around it. And then others we are like, you can kind of get through with 8 to 9 or maybe 10, but yeah.
Because I think it's important to probably sometimes maybe overwrite and at least get your story out there, because then I'm sure you can trim it down in the editing or on the day. But yeah, I'm the king of overwriting.
Yeah, that's like been our total strategy. Like the first pass is always the longest.
Yeah.
And then we take the scissors out.
Yeah, we actually have 2 versions of what we submitted to British Web Awards. There's the 4-minute, which is what we ended up sending in, and we also have a 2-minute for YouTube. And so it's, like cutting room floor, but there's like complete pieces that you can make, and then you can make quicker, like zippy, like comic web form ones, which are good.
Yeah, I think you did right with that, because I don't think you would have done as well if you hadn't have sent the 4-minute one. I wouldn't have said. So I think that was a really good call to do that. And just going back to that, what you sent in, because even though that's kind of all there was, but it was a terrific kind of example of setting up a kind of series, setting up a kind of whodunit, and it perfectly works almost as a first episode of something there. So that's really great what you had there. And so, and I've been just looking forward to talking about it really as well. So you've had your kind of what you wanted to get together to make to begin with. So what was the journey then? You had this written, we thought, right, we're going to make the trailer. This is a real slashed first kind of opening bit here. So what was the next process then? You got a director involved first, was it? Or did you go for budget first? What was the first step there?
So we applied for development funding, and we got it, which we were very happy about. And then we actually cast Linda Cash as our lead, and we were really, really happy about that because she was like exactly who we envisioned as Deb. And we actually asked Linda if she had any ideas about directors she would want to work with, or and she suggested Winifred Jong. And so then we approached Winifred, and she said yes. And so, and Winnie was really, really helpful in the creation of the trailer, even just beyond being on set, because she found our location. And she also like looked at our script and kind of helped us reformat it. And she's just like an incredible director.
Mm-hmm. She also cut the 4-minute version over Zoom with our editor, Paul.
Wow.
So she was like in the edit suite with him the whole time, which is awesome.
That's terrific doing it over Zoom. That's fantastic. So you say you applied to the development fund, you got something. Can I ask what the budget was? Is that, you know how much money went on this?
$1 million.
It was 50,000.
Development fund.
Great British pounds. Yeah.
It was 50, right? Wait,
50,
was it 50?
Yeah.
50,000.
Oh, great. Okay, so you got the better. That's terrific. So, because it's web series are fascinating because you can spend nothing on them, or you can spend, as you even joke, you could probably spend $1 million.
Yeah.
Like
a half joke.
I know I've been on a panel where, you know, a lot of us just spent say 10,000 or £500 or nothing, and then there was a Korean director there says, 500,000. We're like, so major
on a web series,
major all sorts on it. So yeah, we kind of did your reactions, but more subtly. It was like, so,
wow.
Yeah, so that's amazing, really. So there is kind of no high or end scale of it, really. There's just kind of what you can create. So that's great. So you apply there your premise, and you got your funding, which is terrific and achievement. Just before we move on from that, is there any advice you can give to any kind of emerging filmmakers and web series creators on applying for grants or things or anything like that? Anything you wish you'd known that you could pass on to any struggling creators?
We actually took our sizzle and submitted to festivals like the British Web Awards to kind of give us more accolades and justify us as creators, because we are very young. So it tells the funders that people do respect our work and that we are capable. So if you have a good short, submit it, see, you know, what you can pick up and meet people at the festivals. People will give you advice. It's good.
Yeah, we got really solid advice when we started about having like making a point to shoot the trailer and have that be this like kind of like in episodic television world, like having a pilot and having that be your selling feature before you commit to, because like you said about the web world, it's like, yeah, you can do it for $5, you can do it for 100,000, whatever. So it feels like you want to do the full series like right out the gate because you may have an opportunity to, but I think before doing that, like it's really good to to just make the trailer and focus on that instead of having like gone through the whole rigmarole of like doing the full season and then it being difficult to like get off the ground after that, or like having to live somewhere. So yeah, that I think saved us a lot of time and energy and hopefully makes a better product in the end.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree 100% because you know, when you're trying to pitch something, that's one thing, isn't it? But when you say, look, we've got a trailer, look, this is the visual concept and this is what we've done so far, and when it kind of looks as professional and as great and as you guys, you know, as yours did, that's tremendous. I imagine you can say, look, this is what we've begun with. You know, if we had our wings and let us fly, let's see what we can come up with there. But Jamie, as well, you were just saying how young you all were. Can I ask what your ages are of everyone here?
I was gonna say, Jamie, we're not that young.
Yeah,
We're in our 20s trying to get people to give us $50,000.
yeah.
It would have been
Jamie,
funny, yeah.
don't disclose my age.
Yeah. I'm 17 until I'm not.
I'm the youngest.
Right, for that we've got 15, 12, and I'm like, oh,
30
well.
is
Yeah. We're very young.
I'm 26. I don't mind talking about it. You guys don't have to disclose. But I think when you're under 30 and you haven't been working in the industry for a very long time, people don't necessarily immediately want to give you a lot of money and just expect you to return a product.
Oh, you're right. You are right. Yeah, but just I think that's just interesting. You say when you, yeah, chat about that. But yeah, so anyway.
I'm 5 years old. I was
Yeah.
$1 million an episode.
Very young. I'm not even allowed to drink. Well, no, I'm 28. So I'm not very.
I feel like I'm crying now, and I really wasn't. It's just trying to
Sorry, I started this. You're not old.
Well,
I think I'm probably the grandpa of the group, so you should all be right, Sarah. I think.
Jonathan's like, I will never share my age ever.
Never.
Gotta stay castable.
Well, I'm 35 anyway. If you want to just do full disclosure, I'm 35. That will all change.
Appreciate
That's a good age. A lot of people actually rave about that age.
Well, yeah, I've never looked back. This is it. This is
Did you say that will change with time?
It's already changing with time. This wasn't always this color, you know. It's like,
I've
was
been going
once-
gray
Crazy.
since I was 15.
was a beautiful brunette once, and then time has ravaged this face. Right, I feel I have led us on a digressing topic there. Okay, smashing. Okay, so brilliant. So excellent. That's my stalling tactics of repeating the same type of.
All right, we're 12. I've killed my boss.
Yeah.
And we got $50,000 to play with.
Give us $50,000.
But we're children.
Yeah.
We spent it all on TikTok.
And these are really the themes that live in the show, right?
Yeah,
we're-
they actually
we're
are.
babies,
They actually.
give us a lot
they-
of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
They tell us we don't know what we're doing.
Very lots of yeah.
No, but it's seriously,
Existential
you're like
moments
so
in
on
the
the
show.
money. Like it's like the chaos of it all, like the like, yeah, the queer chaos is like a real thing.
Yeah, we had vaguely talked about always making sure we could hit the beats, bills, sex, and murder in almost every episode. If we can do two
Yeah.
of the three, then we have a successful episode.
Mhm.
Terrific.
We're on the money. It's like this is where this interview is going: is bill, sex, and money.
It's all coming out now. As if the British haven't enough scandals in the last few weeks. We're adding to it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's move away from sex and scandals and let's move back to this respectable interview. Lovely. So also can I ask about your, I'm reluctant to ask any more questions about your background, I was going to say, but you're all, I'm not prying, but you're all obviously come from acting backgrounds and stuff. So is that right? Or
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we definitely vary. Go ahead, Sophie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Jamie and I were actually, we went to an arts high school in Toronto, and we were actually in the same theater company together.
Nice.
And we were in a British play together, actually our first play, a Black comedy.
Sounds great. British.
Yes, yes, Brits. I think we did really bad English accents in the play. Sorry.
No, you did. I talked like this the whole time because I was an American debutante.
Can we get a demo, Sophie, of the British accent? Can we?
I was an old grandmother. This was my English accent.
Sophie's character got drunk for the first time at like 70, and so like
yes,
the
Mrs.
whole play
Furnival,
was
yeah.
Sophie like lying across furniture, like
Yeah, there was like a blackout, and I like couldn't see anything, and I was wasted for the whole play. I was like, this is
in character. Clarify.
Yeah, trying to do an English accent. And so Jonathan and I actually met in theater school in Montreal. We both went to theater school, and then he moved to Toronto after university. And me, Jamie, and Jonathan then like started working together.
We were tour guides for a while.
Just what? Sorry.
We were tour guides together for a while. Well, Sophie and I were tour guides, and Jonathan was the bartender on the boat who got to look cute every day, even though we had to wear ugly polos.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my first job when I moved to Toronto. Like after after theater school, I moved to Toronto, and I like got there that day, and I was giving tours. It was a kind of half bartender job and then half giving tours, and I was like kind of giving tours about a city I've never lived in to people who have never, I mean, maybe they've been to Toronto, but they were really fresh faces. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't lying.
You were stealing a lot of my stories,
stealing your
like
material.
my personal anecdotes
Yeah,
about
I had
my
nothing
dad.
to go off of. I had been there
Sophie
once as a kid when I was like 7. So it's like, welcome to my wonderful city. Yeah.
So we had like a joke about her dad working in the sugar factory that we went past.
Yes.
And she goes,
Yeah,
you
I
sell
just
in the
thought,
sugar
oh my
tanks. People be
God.
like,
Yeah.
Well, I think
Which was a lie. Just a lie.
I think it's fantastic that. Oh, we've lost someone.
Oh.
Well, she obviously
Maybe.
didn't like the tough questions. That's
Yeah.
Couldn't handle the
First
pressure.
age, then acting experience.
Yeah.
Chris, it's been a lot.
I think Kate's interview, Kate Warren, she was my first interview, and I did way too much laughing on her interview, but that's only been rivaled now by this interview.
Yes. I love competition.
Since her interview, I thought I did way too much laughing on there, and I thought I was way too funny, but then I was like, oh, so I thought
How
I'm going
could
to
you
settle
keep
down.
that funny?
Oh, Jamie, to join us again,
Jamie?
does she? Shall we let her in?
No, make her wait.
No.
This is, and people will be watching this as well, so this is okay.
People will know Jamie's a diva.
hi, sorry, I don't know what just happened. My phone just went
That's-
from like 80% to being dead.
My camera's still up, but that's my
Another murder.
You're
Who
my
did it?
first walkout.
Oh, walk out.
My first walkout, Jamie. Thank you. And while you've been gone, we have covered a vast array of fascinating questions and everything.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Oprah level chaos. It was it was unbelievable.
But anyway, that was only rivaled by my sister's dog trying to break into the room a few interviews ago as well. So that's good. Yeah. So cool. So what I was going to say there before somebody abandoned this amazing interview. I'm not gonna say who.
Jamie's like, I'm gonna leave again.
Yeah, Jamie's like, I'm
Near the wine.
I can't do this.
So what I was going to say was great was just talking about how you kind of all met and how important is kind of when you can't, it wasn't like proper networking. It was just kind of when you meet people that have the same interests and love as what you kind of do, they kind of become the best collaborators in a way, don't they? And I think that's great. You kind of all met and suddenly it's kind of like, well, I want to do acting, I want to do acting. And one of my key ingredients whenever I work with people is enthusiasm. You know, do you have that enthusiasm? Because that's what's contagious and that's what's great. And I think from the sounds of it, that's kind of what you guys all had, and you then put that into a project together. So that's great. So obviously, just from chatting to you all, I can see there's this really nice kind of repartee you've kind of all got on that. Do you think that carried over to kind of the creative process working together first, would you say?
Our meetings where we're in person are like constantly doing a bit. Everyone's like screaming and like reenacting things from Scream, and we yell the dialogue at each other over and over again until it sounds right. It's a bit different with Zoom because we can't cut each other off by quoting Drew Barrymore, but
as hard as we try.
Yeah, it still works. I think it's still very much part of it. I miss you guys.
I know. I think, yeah, you're right. It's a good note, Chris, about like how that informs dynamics and like those relationships. And it's like, yeah, if you guys kind of like the right about what you know thing, and if everyone like has interests, or like at least like collectively carving out like a singular vision, but like dynamically, so that everyone has like a cool perspective that they bring to that vision. I feel like that informed what we ended up creating, but also like our own personal like dynamic too. Like I feel like our interpersonal dynamic is like also informed by the chaos of the show, which I like.
And it's also cool because like I feel like because we genuinely share personal things with each other outside of work, you know, like we'll text each other about dates or whatever. We also have all of this context into each other's lives. So I'll be like, Jonathan, I need to use that thing that you said about that guy for my script. Is that okay? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's kind of cool because we're inspired by each other just by being very close friends, and then that bleeds into the dynamic. But like we also always ask too before using each other's personal
will you kill me if I quote your ex?
Literally. Jamie, will you quote me if I or will you kill me if I quote this very terrible experience with your ex?
Yeah. People are gonna watch the show now and try and pick out.
They're like, what is real about this?
Yeah.
Did they kill him?
So going back to, you've got your script, you've got your funding, which is really impressive as well. You've managed to hook a wonderful director, not just because she's been quite accomplished, hasn't she, before she started, but she's also great because of the finished product as well. It looks really great, and you can tell that came from a lot of experience in that. So just to backtrack a tiny bit then, obviously you've written it and you're actors yourself, so it only makes sense to really put yourself in it as well. You're a kind of useful commodity to your own production, so you might as well use yourself, which is another benefit of web series. How did the other casting come about, and then what was the process of casting everyone else? Did you use friends? Did you audition? What was the process there? Dive in.
I mean, Laurie and Sebastian are our friends who we've worked with before. Friends. Sebastian is my boyfriend, but we didn't cast him because of that. But we all worked together, the three of us, and Sophie actually, on another thing that I wrote a couple summers before called Spellbent. And then Jay, Sophie pulled because he's actually he's a Broadway performer. He's in Moulin Rouge. So Sophie knew Jay, and those characters were kind of written for them. Not always totally faithfully. I would say that Jay and Laurie play more similarly to themselves than Sebastian, who is actually very, very smart and plays the dumbest boy in the world. And then, Izzy came highly recommended by a close friend in the industry, and she's amazing and talented, and she really held the whole thing together, which is a tough thing to do when you're the narrative lens. Can really fall apart if you don't have a strong actor.
Was anyone who got cast in particular that, because obviously when it's your own work, there's a sense of kind of ownership there and protectiveness. Was there anyone you got involved and thought, wow, they really pulled it off maybe a lot better than you thought, or there was a moment where somebody just brought something to life, and because you've written it, there's that feeling of like extra wow about it? Any incidents about that?
I mean, I think we can unanimously say like Linda like murdered. Like she was really also just like so seasoned and iconic and like easy to work with, and like asking questions about the character and like really engaging. And she was literally down to like get on the ground of this like dive bar we shot at. Like just an icon. She brought her own like acrylic nails for the character.
Yeah.
I like fit really well. And she was like, I picked these up. I just thought they were like exactly what we needed. And they were. And yeah, she really like brought a lot. She brought a lot. And it was like really beautiful to watch, because yeah, you're just like constantly also learning when you like watch someone like that like show up to work.
Yeah. And she was so funny with Pom Pom Chewy, the dog, who we just wrote in like she's a glamorous woman with a dog, because we were like, okay, like my boss, like I've had bosses who bring their dog into the restaurant even though they're not supposed to. And she was so funny with the dog. We didn't expect, there were like little bits picking him up and stuff that we never put in there that she and Winnie worked out together. We just saw what was happening in front of us.
So
yeah. And I also like Jay, I think really brought Anthony to life, because Jay actually made that sweater that he's wearing in the sizzle for the character. And he was like, I was like, Jay, I can get you an outfit, like don't worry, because he was flying in from New York, like literally 8 Broadway shows a week, really busy. He was like, no, I'm like Diane Keaton, I dress myself. And and so he like sewed those feathers on for the character and like picked his outfit. And just the way like he ad-libbed, I wouldn't do him. Like Damien's a hot mess, I wouldn't do him. It was supposed to be like a different line. And just like little things he added to the character, like with the straw, with the martini. He just had such a actualized vision of this person. And I think like I couldn't see anyone else bringing Anthony to life in the way that he did, aesthetically. And
yeah, to also like talk about what you mentioned, Chris, about ownership, and like how we were like, oh, like, you know, watching about ownership over our work and like the trailer and shooting and stuff. I feel like the ones that, those moments, like even with Izzy and like how she brought this kind of like half Southern twang thing that we like half wrote in as like kind of a joke, but she like saw it and ran. I feel like those actors like really brought a sense of ownership to their characters. And I feel like as a creator of the show, it's like, that's what I want to see. And I was like, wow, it's like so nice when it like giving it wings almost, and like just having it like fully existed and actualized, because those actors brought like an identity to it. It was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, Sebastian also, if anyone else was playing Damien, he would have been such a dick. But he's just so cute and lovable, because like, I mean, he has all these like pickup lines that if someone said them to you in real life, like you would, you know, think about injuring them.
Up in your mouth, yeah.
Yeah, but he just plays it like he doesn't even realize he's being like that, and it's just so much more endearing.
Yeah, he brings it, like it's so, yeah, it's really nice. Great question, Chris.
Well,
I really like that question.
Yeah.
One of many, my friend. One of many. What was the age of this Sebastian? No.
Questions for days.
No, that's great. So obviously you've got your cast, you've got a great cast, and it's the phrase "it's a great character cast," cast comes across, and that comes across from the bits you've seen. Everyone seems to be, a character. No one drops the baton, if you know what I mean. Everyone just seems to have their own place in it, and that's great to say. And that's not always the case either. So that's great. Just as a side question on the trailer, where did the music come from on that? Because that's very atmospheric, kind of almost 80s type vibe there. Whose idea and where did that come from?
Well, we're really lucky because we actually have Phil Strong as our sound designer, composer, mixer, and he is like a Gemini award-winning, CSA award-winning composer.
Wow.
And so we kind of like wrote notes and gave examples of songs that we liked and then sent it to him. I think Jonathan was mostly spearheading communication with Phil, and he just totally transformed it. The sighs are genius. Actually, there's a part where Damien says "yeah" in the not recorded on set.
Right.
Sounds exactly like him. Bash never said that. That like Phil.
I literally thought it was him. I was like, did we write that in?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. When he's like making out with someone. I'm like... But it's interesting, Chris, that you noticed the 80s synth vibes of the score, because we did send Phil a lot of songs from the 80s, and I am obsessed with 80s synth pop. So that was a big influence for us. And we wanted to make it like dreamy and fun, but then also add like the darker undertone. So Phil was great in just listening and and taking what we gave him. And
because it's strange, because now even I think about it, even with the kind of big kind of wooden barn area, that's kind of a vibe of Twin Peaks as well, I guess, isn't there? A little bit of that in there.
That's all over our Pinterest board.
What's that?
Oh, that's all over our Pinterest board, Twin Peaks.
Oh, really?
yeah.
That was my 2020. I watched Twin Peaks from the beginning for the first.
Oh my God,
it's good. It was a hell of a psychological year.
Yeah.
Perfect time to watch
Dark.
Yeah. Just because of Twin Peaks. Never mind the pandemic.
Yeah.
David Lynch.
I was a mess the whole year because I watched
anyway, so we'll still get out. But yeah. So there's that kind of vibe and thing that I picked up on as well, which I thought was really interesting there as well. And also just talking about the production a bit more, the color grading, really beautiful kind of blues and stuff, wasn't there? It was very, very nice color grading. Was that from the editing side of it? And obviously, was there an idea about having a clear color grade to it?
Dale Hindebrand was our. Oh, go ahead, James.
No, it's okay. I was going to say what you were saying right now. You talk.
Yeah. So he's incredible. He's like just as like an energy. I'm obsessed with him. But he is like lighting extraordinaire. He worked on American Gods. I think he still is, but
wow.
Yeah, he's very he just is really, he's like fucking obsessed with his lighting. And so he gets really involved, and that having him be involved in the project, we knew that like lighting would be an important aspect to what was happening visually, because he makes it part of what's happening. So yeah, bisexual lighting is like where we were living with like blues and purples and that kind of thing. There's a timelessness to it, I find, but also like it's not necessarily site specific, but it's kind of moody and kind of young and kind of like fits a number of things that we were looking to get in on. And also like kind of like putting like lipstick on a pig with like a dive bar and like throwing in these like cool, you know what I mean? Like
I've never heard that
that's like
before. No.
I've never heard that
really?
either.
It's literally in our like pitch doc now.
Yeah,
lipstick on a pig, really?
Jonathan had it in the settings section.
I'm dead. That's really funny.
I don't know, maybe it's a Nova Scotia saying, but
I love it.
But yeah, that's kind of what that is. And I think like if it with like what we thought Deb would do with the bar too, and like to make it nice or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, the lighting was like really definitely part of the conversation for sure.
Yeah, and then Paul in post, the editor, he also did this like very intense, like frame by frame color correct in DaVinci Resolve. And so like, you know, like really like making sure that the light was in our eyes and that like you could see clearly the reflections in the mirror that Winnie worked so hard to get into all the shots. So it's awesome.
You know, it's fascinating just saying that last bit as well, because, you know, it can seem like a real pain in the arse on the day, can't it? All these little things. But then when you think film is forever, you think afterwards, yeah, I'm really glad we did that and we got that in, because, yeah. And you seem to have had the real benefit of being kind of funded and being organized and being able to do that, because a lot of guerrilla filmmaking, you know, obviously you don't get a chance to do that, but yours sounds terrific. And like I say, just another compliment to you guys. That really came across in what I saw. I thought, yeah, hence I've picked up and hence I've asked about the things that I've seen in that briefing. That was great.
Yeah, we had an amazing AD who is so organized. Simon McNally, hire him. He's so organized, so organized.
Yeah.
We would not have gotten through without him.
And
like we would not have gotten the whole thing.
Well, no, it's say teamwork, isn't it? Teamwork makes the dream work there, and that seems to have come across. And you seem to have got a really good team together. How long did it take to shoot what you shot? How long was that then? How many days or?
1 day.
We did it in 1 8 hour. Was it 8 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had an 8-hour day.
Well, we had 8. The crew got there at like 5. So
yeah. So what was theirs? 12.
So actors, theirs was 12.
Yeah.
You all had a nice sleep. And
we went out for drinks after.
We did. That was the last
we're like, let's do shots and not sleep. Yeah.
Yes, Barney.
That's terrific. One day. So if you kind of and also just before we move off the production side there, so with your director, how much kind of what was the influence there? Was there a lot of experience that came with her coming in? Was it just how much really would you say difference did that make, having that experienced director involved on the day? What would you say there?
Everything. We had an 8-page script. She looked at it. She was like, we can't do this. 4. And it's better. It's so much better.
Yeah, Winnie honestly made the project what it is. Like down to knowing the location, the script, and just like she was very efficient and very organized, and but also very supportive. And also added things on the day, like Izzy's reaction shots. We actually had not written into the script, Detective Guinto, but they're so good and they add like an extra layer of comedy that we hadn't even thought of. But when he was like, no, we're just gonna get a bunch of reaction shots and see. So
she wrote I'm still here also in the March. Yeah.
So just watching her work was really a great learning experience for me personally.
She also comes from like a script supervisor world, and she did that for like 20 years beforehand, and I think that is like such an attention to detail in a role.
She was on the Virgin Suicides as a script supervisor. Like she knows how to handle a set.
So like again, it was like we were so lucky, and it was really easy because she made it easy.
And just going on what you said there, Jonathan, is that it makes a difference, doesn't it, when someone comes in and makes you feel at ease, then you tend to do better work, I guess, don't you, in whatever you're doing, in whether it's work or not. If someone makes you feel comfortable, often that's I guess that's very nice. Sounds really good there. So with your budget, was the budget just to cover that first thing you made, or was that budget to cover the ongoing series? How did that work? Or are you reapplying for more money, or
but both?
Both. So that is
the budget covered. Yeah, so it covered the writing of the first 3 episodes plus working with our like project mentors on the full arc of the series and the character bios, plus the sizzle. And yeah, now we're applying for more funding with our awards under our belt so that we look like real competitors
Yeah,
to do the final.
because that ties back into what we discussed at the beginning, wasn't it, really? You know, if you had that first kind of layer of funding and you've put something together which looks fantastic, and then like you say, you've done some great kind of, you got festival recognition, which means a lot as well, doesn't it, to yourself and to the wider community, definitely, because to yourself often it's a really well-earned pat on the back for an otherwise kind of can be thankless at times, can't it? So it's nice to really just think, oh, okay, some people think we're doing good, and that means a lot, doesn't it, really, sometimes. Which is,
yeah, thank you so much,
Yeah,
by the way,
thank you
for the awards. We were like, I was in shock, and it was really, really nice to know that people actually thought we were funny. Because we're like, are we? I don't know.
Also, it was such a fun ceremony. When Victor Crumb came out, I was like,
yeah.
we're from the land of Harry Potter. It's
iconic.
Yeah, the way I'm aging, you might see Voldemort there at the actually, but no, I appreciate that. And we were chatting about the ceremony to someone else, and we're just saying, you know, I'm a creator, so I tried to put together with the team a ceremony that makes the creators the stars. It's kind of like, right, you know, what can we do? And if we can't get you guys there because it's online, you know what, you know, let's try and tie the web series community and the kind of industry and try and pull these two things apart, which is, it's going that way anyway. We're fast approaching that anyway, but that's part of what I try and do, is tie the two worlds together and just try and make an entertaining ceremony. So when we say, you know, we really enjoyed it, that's great. That means because that's who it's for. And unfortunately, I can't see your faces when you're watching it, which is the real shame there. So, but maybe there's ways around that one time. But you know, that's something that I feel, you know, it's great to hear feedback, because otherwise you don't really see it. So, you know, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, know that we were really, pumped by it, and it was a really cool ceremony, and like so well done. And like you accomplished that goal really well with like tying the industry to the digital world and like the web series, and like that it very much is the direction that it's going. Yeah, you like murdered it. It was really fun. Thanks.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody wants to say anything else positive about it now? I'll cuss out these bits for a trailer or something. So
we love British Web Awards. We're obsessed.
We're obsessed with the British Web Awards.
yeah.
Watch Band Ladies, Team Canada.
Oh,
In Canada.
The random plug.
I did. I interviewed Band Ladies last week. That was great fun. Yeah, that was good fun.
Love Band Ladies. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great as well. And that's the other nice thing about the web community and digital community. It's so much more supportive and nice than the film community, really. It's a much more united industry and front than, say, the filmmaking community. That's a lot more kind of boxed in and closed doors, really. You know what I mean? Once you're through the door, the people are nicer to you. But, you know, until you're through those doors, it's a closed community, really. So, and the web community is so kind of inviting and so collaborative, and there's still that overwhelming joy of doing what you do, you know what I mean, before the fun's kind of kicked out of you, like it can do in any job at any point. So that's really nice. So you've got your first thing done, you've wrapped it all up, you sent off to festivals, you've got recognition, you're hopefully going to get funding for your next episodes and that. What's the kind of then, because what's the future then of the project there? So you're going for that 6-episode run, aren't you? I think you said. Is that the next goal? Where are we up to the next? What's happening there? Anyone?
James, do you want to take it?
Okay. So
or whomever, whatever, yeah.
No, I just love that.
I'm just phrasing. I'm just thinking about what I'm allowed to say at this point. We have springboards for the first 3 possible seasons because we didn't want to lock ourselves in after resolving everything in the first one. They are subject to change, obviously, but we left room. So hopefully we finish in late summer to release either fall or winter. And I think it's going to be like a fairly, it's like a big main cast, but there's not a lot of like extras or guest stars except for like a few like 2 key ones. So it's going to be kind of it's going to be a very fun, like friendly set because everyone there is, buds. So we're just looking forward to probably 10 days of just hanging out with each other for money.
Lots of murder.
Just, I know you can't give too much away about the plot, but obviously the kind of potential problem you might have is, oh, is Jonathan gone? Oh, he's back.
Here.
Disconnected there. But the problem with that is that with a murder mystery, a lot of people get angry, don't they, if you don't tie things up at the end of each season. So that's one of the challenges, I guess, you've got, how you're going to keep that kind of fresh. Because going back to Twin Peaks, there was obviously all that kind of anger when the first murder wasn't solved at the end of season 1. Then they had that extra long season 2 there. So it's obviously an interesting challenge to keep things fresh. Is that something you're doing or worked out or discussed previously, would you say? Or?
Yeah, we definitely had a number of conversations about that, and like
that was an issue. You were thinking, how can we?
Yeah, it's like something you really have to think about, and like, whether or not a season 2 does happen or doesn't happen, and if that is its own standalone thing, what are we trying to say? Yeah, so you kind of have to a little bit be like a fortune teller, but also like that ultimately is like, okay, if it is a 1 season show, then you kind of want to complete enough of it, but you sort of want to like allow for there to be that room to like keep things going and expand. So yeah,
Jill Golick really helped us with that. Sorry, I cut you off. I thought.
No, you're right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, at the same time, it's not necessarily a problem, the fact that you could quite easily solve the murder at the end of season 1, and the nature of the show, you could then pick up a second season with a fresh murder or something. And I think that's something that might be engaging. And you haven't pushed yourself into a kind of elephant trap. Then you can just free like Broadchurch or any detective show with these characters. There's a chance that murders could follow them around, or you could have a whole new location or different country even for season 2 or something, and have these characters there and have the same elements of that. And also the characters, I think the characters are kind of broad enough not to even necessarily tie them into a murder mystery storyline. They could perhaps go in a whole different genre, I think, there. So it wasn't really a question, of more of a kind of philosophy. But anyway.
Yeah. No, but you're right. The space is kind of cursed. So there will be darkness following these people, no matter what.
Logline.
Wherever they go, if they end up in Harry Potter land, they'll be cursed.
Very, very foreboding. There's darkness.
Darkness will be plaguing them no matter where they end up. Yeah.
That's great.
Darkness and minimum wage.
Which is like
the same thing.
The same.
Yeah.
Server's wage, actually.
Server wage lower than minimum. Thanks, Doug Ford.
Brilliant. So
cut that out.
Compose yourself. This is a British Web Awards interview. This is
indeed.
This is no New York Times or Post article. Important, serious. This is important journalistical integrity work we're composing here. So.
Journalistical. I love.
So they're moving on from that kind of. So it's each individually. So this is a United project if you wasn't doing Sloppy Jones? Is there any other type of interesting projects or genres you want to try and tackle, or go look into doing further down the road, or anything? Or
yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah,
look very close there.
I've been working on a. I've been working on a documentary, and Jonathan has joined me to co-produce it because he also knows this woman. So it's kind of more of an experimental documentary. So I'm interested in like all types of filmmaking, acting, writing. Yeah. So
what is the documentary about?
It's about this woman that I met 4 years ago when I was volunteering in this community in Toronto called Moss Park. And it's a community mainly comprised of community housing, shelters, and sort of community resources. And it was hit very hard by the opioid crisis because there are a lot of people living with addiction that are living in the community housing, and this woman in particular was really struggling when I met her, but we really got along and we started going for coffee and kind of talking about her story and her journey, I guess, of like accepting herself and not demonizing herself for her addiction. And yeah, and then Jonathan met her and she kind of wanted to do a documentary. So it's been in the works for like 4 years. And we got funding for it. It was just a matter of like, we were going to shoot last fall, but then Toronto had a second wave with COVID, and the community was hit particularly hard, so it just wasn't safe. But we're planning to shoot that once we're vaccinated.
Terrific, because obviously, you know, when this kind of interview comes out, it's kind of out, and people forget that we're doing this during this crazy time of COVID-19 and stuff. So it's that's something. How has that kind of affected everyone? Is it just have you all been proper lockdown as well, or what's it been like in where you are? Would you say?
I mean, I'm in probably I think Toronto's been locked down the longest in the province. Like it has been locked down the longest in the province. So we're still like retail at 25% capacity. Please don't go out unless it's necessary. I mean, bars aren't open. This is the second St. Patrick's Day I have not worked in, like, I guess, yeah, until last year I had worked St. Patrick's Day for 7 years because I was bartending. So this changed that. But we're very fortunate, the three of us. We are capable of working from home, and we have space to exist in. It's a lot harder for a lot of people in Toronto than we have it. So I don't want to complain too much.
Oh, no, yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because it's tough for everyone. But then, like you've put there, Jamie, that obviously other people will always have it worse. There's always be someone who's got it worse. So yeah, so it's still tough. But like you say, yeah, you've got to think about that one. And Jonathan, how have you found it?
Good. I'm in Nova Scotia, so like this is where I'm from. I came back home, quarantined, and yeah, Nova Scotia's been, like, knock on wood, like pretty. It's been a pretty safe bubble. There's a lot of opportunity to like go in nature and be really safe, and I've enjoyed that a lot because I kind of felt guilty about going out into nature because I was like, like I shouldn't be going out, but I was like, no, like anyone would do this if they had the opportunity to like safely go on a hike. So so I'm doing it for the kids. But yeah, no, Nova Scotia's been it's been good. Yeah.
Oh, it's tough. But like I say, with got vaccines on the way, which last year people said there's a good chance you'll never ever develop a vaccine. We've now got a vaccine, and it's hope there in sight, really. And you know, I do teaching one day a week, and I tell the students, I say, you know, there's you know, you're living through a moment in history. You know, this is this, you kind of had, you know, that kind of Trump presidency kind of madness, didn't you? And then you've kind of had COVID directly after, and these aren't the norms. You know, these,
Totally.
you
This
know,
is not normal.
I hope not.
times. But you know, it's you know, we're kind of all in it together, over different parts of the world, and yeah, we're getting through it. And you know, one way we can do that is to be, you know, creative. And you know, when I do interviews like this, I've you know, really enjoyed chatting to people, especially different sides of the world, and asking them. So that's been a really interesting question, which I've loved, you know, just getting, you know, reflection on, because it's tough for everyone, and it's nice to see what we're up to. So lovely. Well, it's been delightful talking to you all. I am thoroughly excited to see your show when you eventually, you know, are able to crack on and get that done and see where it goes to, and also the kind of future of the kind of universe of the show there. I think you know, there's one thing your show's missing, that's, and you know, a lot of shows are missing the same thing, and that's probably like a graying Englishman actor, really. But you know, no one ever hits a home run, so it's okay, you know. Let you know that. So brilliant. Okay, chaps. Well, it's been lovely talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Chris. It was really fun.
Thank you. This has been a great interview. Thank you, Chris.
It's been a pleasure. And so, and hopefully, you know, we'll see you in the future. If you've got any more work, enter into the British Web Awards, or if you just want to come back on and do another chat and see where you're all up to and something, I'd love to catch up and see what you're doing there. And, yeah, lovely. And if I can do anything to help you guys, please get in touch. Really, that would be lovely.
Thank you so much.
See you all soon.